How's it, everybody? It's Ulu. Welcome back to my channel. We're going over authoritarian parenting style, the pros and cons, and we're going to discuss each one. Before we begin, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Hey, drop your comments how you feel about this parenting style. What kind of parenting style are you? The first one is children are generally well behaved from authoritarian households. Authoritarian parents develop a clear sense of what is right and what is wrong. Instead of shades of gray being introduced, there is a clear line drawn in the sand. If that line gets crossed, a consequence is expected. This trains the child to learn that rules are in place for a reason. So, in other words, I used to tell my daughter, Meme, no jump on the couch, no jump on the couch, no jump on the couch. She used to have this thing about jumping on the couch. And, in my house, there was this California style. When I used to live in Hawaii, there was a California style tile, and it was just beautiful. It was easy to take care of and everything, but it was super solid. It was super solid. And she used to jump on the couch. She used to jump on the couch. And I kept telling her, no, jump on the couch. No, jump. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. Well, one day she didn't jump on the couch and she didn't jump over the back of the couch. And when she didn't jump over the back of the couch, she didn't land on her hands and knees on all fours. And you know what? She was crying. She was crying. She was crying. I thought she broke her wrist and busted her knees. Like, for real. And that was the reason why I told her for not jump on the couch. Of course, the sister was only 2 years old. She never listened, and she got hurt. But she never break no bones, nothing. But yeah, she did get hurt, and she did learn her lesson. So, and I said, this is why I told you not to jump on the couch. Okay. So this trains the child that there is rules that are in place for a reason. If that line gets crossed, you're gonna get in trouble. And not only you can get in trouble, you can get hurt. You know what I mean? There's a reason why, why we set those rules. Number two, it creates an environment that is focused on safety. Again, nobody likes their baby to get hurt, okay? That's true of every parenting style. What authoritarian parenting does is place a focus on safety with the context of the rules. This helps to protect children from making potentially harmful decisions while showing them that there is a right and wrong path to take every time a choice can be made. In essence, there are definitions of good and of bad in every situation. So, if you don't jump on the couch, you're not going to get in trouble, first of all. Second, you're not going to get hurt. But if you do jump on the couch, there's a possibility that you could get hurt and you're going to get in trouble, period. Okay, so that was one of the rules that I had for my furniture. Until today, I still get that rule because I feel like, and you know what? You still not, but you're not supposed to jump on a couch anyway. That is rude. You know what I mean? That is rude. That is disrespectful. Okay? Completely, 100% disrespectful. So, no jump on the couch. Okay? For two reasons. It's disrespectful and you can get hurt. Number three, there are always clear goals in place to be achieved. Structure. So we're talking about structure, and we all know structure is important in households. Structure is very important in authoritarian households. Parents using this structure often see their job as a type of business. To create success, just like any good entrepreneur, they create plans that have step-by-step instructions to be followed. When their kids follow each step, they come closer to the goals that have been put into place. This makes it easier to know what needs to be done, and it reduces the chances of mistakes being made. So, when there are goals that are in place, you know exactly what you got to do to achieve that goal. You know exactly what you need, as far as if it's financial things, if it's material things, if it's time, if it's plant, time and arrivals and all that kind of stuff to make sure that your goals are achieved, and that if these rules or these plans are followed, then there's less chance for mistakes, which will delay reaching the goal. Okay. Number four, it creates a sense of responsibility. Now, I really like this one. When there are limits in place, the joys that are experienced become treasured commodities. So when there's limits, then every time you do something and experiences happen, it is an ultimate, like it's a memory. It's, it's a like I said, it's a treasured commodity. So it has more meaning. Kids from this type of household may have limitations in certain areas certain areas of development, but most don't ever think that committing a crime or doing something wrong is something that would be fun to do. No, because the rules are in place. So they know already. They know already that if they do something wrong, they're not being responsible. And they know that it's not going to be fun. They're so accustomed to following the rules and basing their definition of character on this action that it becomes transposed to their adult life. Precision and order rule the day every single day. So this is good. As children grow up, they become adults, they become responsible. They know that they need to if they have a job, they know they need to work. If they don't go to work, they don't make money. If they do go to work, they make money, and also, responsibility, period. They know that they're going to make money, and it's just they're taking on that role as an adult. They know. So if you have these in place when they're a child, it creates that sense of responsibility. So even as a child, they have to do their part in the household. Number five, clarity happens 100% of the time. There is no discussion or debate with authoritarian parenting. There is one defined method of accomplishing everything that is made clear to every member of the family. Confusion doesn't happen because every expectation is set forth before any action is taken. So there's no confusion. What I said, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. No two ways about it. No, in other words, you don't have to think because the plan is set already. The parents have already set the plan. So the child doesn't have to think about anything, just have to listen and follow the rules. Okay? This helps the family become a well-oiled machine, everybody doing their part to make sure the household runs. And that can be very effective at the work that needs to be done and efficient with their time. So no time wasted, period. Number six, there is always a desire to make things right. Authoritarian parents understand that mistakes are going to happen. They know mistakes going to happen. When failure does occur, these parents teach their children that it is important to make amends. So if there's mistakes, they got to make amends. They got to fix it. They got to make amends for those mistakes. Although this can be taken to unhealthy levels, I kind of feel about this. I really do. Although this can be taken to unhealthy levels through long periods of studying and testing for educational mistakes, the point of emphasis on making amends is a good thing. So learning from your mistakes, basically. Learning from your mistakes and never doing it again. Period. I kind of really agree that there could be unhealthy outcomes for this. For real. And the reason why I say that is because what happens to your integrity and dignity if the mistakes are making and you are not able to correct. So in other words, if mistakes are made, you better make sure you correct it, and you don't do it again, you know. Okay. The cons of authoritarian parenting. I really, really like this one because, I'm not totally, but a good percentage of me is against this type of parenting because I always feel like our children should be able to express themselves. The cons of authoritarian parenting. 1. A reliance of the rules develops. Kids are forced to recognize that there's a line in the sand all the time, begin to rely on this line to define their own choices and behaviors. Unfortunately, not every situation may have a clear right or wrong answer, and this is especially true in academics. For this reason, children who have authoritarian parents tend to rely on the rules to meet other needs, and if those rules cannot exist, they do not learn effectively as others. You know why? Because they don't have their own recognizance, because there's so much freaking rules in place that there's no recognizance. Owning up, ownership, ownership. And let's go back to the pros of authoritarian parenting style. So number six was the always wanting to make things right. And the con about that is that, if you do something, and we're gonna get to number two, because it's social, it deals with the social aspect of a child. That one, if there's so much rules set in place, right? If there's so much rules set in place, and then okay, making amends, you know that somebody can be forceful in making amends, and then, so in other words, if I do something to somebody and I hurt their feelings, right? I make them upset or whatever, and then I want to make amends. What if that person not ready for face me? What if they in their feelings and they need time to, like, okay, like, oh my God, she did this to me. I like freaking blast her face. You know what I mean? But like, they're upset. And then if I force myself to try and make amends on this situation, it's like I'm not letting them be them. You know what I mean? I'm not being considerate. So that's where the social aspect of this authoritarian parenting falls on. Okay, so like socially kind handicap type, no empathy type deal, because rules are rules are rules are rules. Number two, which brings us to number two, it creates lower self-esteem. Kids who have authoritarian parents tend to see themselves in a good or bad way based on how often they follow the rules. Their self-esteem becomes based on whether or not their parents approve of each choice and how it relates to the rules. Instead of independent thought and choice creating success that can build self-esteem, there's a reliance on others to build self-worth. So again, going back to what I was talking about, self-worth. If I let the person say sorry and make amends and make things right, and yet I'm in my feelings, I'm not sorting out my own feelings, right? I'm not developing, or I'm not working on my self-esteem, because obviously that person did something to hurt me, so my self-esteem is lowered. Now, the person that grew up in authoritarian parenting style, or the child, it's like it's kind of a forceful thing, you know and again, the end result is poor social skills and difficult adjustment periods to new environments. So in other words, bruh, she no like accept my excuse me, she no like accept my apology. Then you get like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, you get freaking low self-esteem. Then now we have the two parties with low self-esteem because of one situation. My God. And this happens in preschool. It happens in preschool, where children don't know that they need to take time. And it's happened where, a child did something to somebody else, and then they are not ready to accept apology, and they need to have time to themselves. They need a moment. It may be 30 seconds, 5 minutes. But if we as parents, we have that authoritarian parenting style, and then we kind of like, okay, you have to say sorry, and then they'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. The other kid will be like, I'm not ready for you. But the one who made the mistake and hurt their feelings or whatever is like, well, she don't want to accept my apology. I tried to tell her sorry already, and she don't want to, and then makes that child feel shitty. Okay? Number three, It creates the foundation for rebellion. Kids that are dealing with authoritarian parents often want to see firsthand if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Sometimes other children feel the need to break the rules just to see what will happen. Oh my God, if it is often done on purpose as a way to rebel against the parents in return. This can have a negative impact on the parent-child relationship, so the relationship is tarnished because the parent would be like, okay, I cannot trust you because you did something wrong and you made the mistake. Now, the child, again, has to explore. You come to the teenage years, if that rules is set in stone and those lines are drawn clearly in the sand, as the child becomes an adult, the child is not able to, or goes through teenagers, the child is not able to think for himself. You know what I mean? So I really disagree with this parenting style. There's no flexibility in the situation. Authoritarian parents does not allow for alternatives should the line in the sand be crossed. Communication about the violation happens individually or through family meetings or about expectations and why they must be followed. This often creates a relationship when bonding between kids and parents is difficult to achieve because if there is a conflict, it is always my way or the highway. So in other words, they're going to have a family meeting and they're going to go again over the rules. They reiterate the rules and they say to you, this is why we tell you not to do this, and this, because this is what can happen. Again, going back to when the child grows up, they cannot think for themselves. You know what I mean? This is another situation where it's like, okay, there's no wrong or right way. We're going through an experience. You know what I mean? 5, it encourages introverted behaviors from children who may be extroverted. This is very interesting because I was like, what? I'm an extrovert, but I don't like being an introvert. No. Some children may cross the line in the sand set for them constantly, sometimes without ever realizing there was a line in the sand in the first place because it's been there so their whole life. When this happens and consequences occur, it creates a certain attitude of timidity that causes children to hesitate or become inactive later on in life because of the fact that there was so much rules that they wasn't able to explore. They don't have that, that like, oh, the ambition, that motivation to go out and learn things. At the very least, it encourages an introverted method of thinking even though the person is an extrovert, because sharing isn't caring, it's how trouble can happen. So in other words, if you an extrovert and you not following the rules, and you actually naturally have a high social demeanor about you, whatever your personality, your character, you're very social and you like to be, communicating and being in the social light of everything or whatever, because there's so much rules, it might turn the child into an introvert because it's like, okay, I cannot. So unsure, making them unsure of themselves. Again, going back to the low self-esteem. Number 6, it could teach children that being a bully is just fine. This is another one that's interesting. Parents often must resort to bullying with an authoritarian parenting relationship to get tasks completed. In other words, I said do this or else. When you gonna do them? This is what I expected from you, and this and that. Do it, I said. Like, I don't see any empathy there. The caring for their emotions. Like, everything is, there's no emotion. There's no connection right there. Instead of encouraging good choices, they are expected. This means negative feedback is typically the only thing that the children in a household like this receive. That negativity becomes the normal environment for these kids, and that's why they take them to school. And that's why they take it to school with them. Bullying. So they're gonna emulate what they see. They're gonna do what they wanna do, according to how they thinking, right? How they thinking is it It should be because they are being bullied at home all the time. So, again, no communication, ineffective communication, not clear communication, because they don't know how to feel. They don't know, they only have so much rules set that if they're realizing as they're growing up that there doesn't have to be any wrong or right choice to a situation, they get all fucked up in their head. You know what I mean? So we don't want to create bullies, guys. Okay? So, in summary, it can be very beneficial. It creates responsibility. It sets rules in place. Children are well behaved. But when you get to the cons, for real, to me, it's more like when the child becomes adolescent and then preteen and then going into teenage and then into adulthood. I feel like the cons affect the child when they become an adult, because as an adult you're supposed to be able to think for yourself. But if there's so many freaking rules in place and you have no leeway for mistake, or no way for, have the children have recognizance, self-recognizance of the choices that they make, and if it turns out bad or whatever, it's bad. It will be bad. And then also, again, the wanting to make things right, make amends. That's a difficult one, because again, like I said, socially, they're not empathetic to the person. They just want to make it right, because that's where they get their self-worth from. That's where they are depending on others to give them that, to help them recognize their self-worth. And you cannot do that. You have to recognize your self-worth because you know that you genuinely are a person that cares for another person's feelings, right? A person that doesn't want to make mistakes, because you know that it may hurt the situation. It may not benefit the situation. um Again, the pro about it is that in a functioning home, when you have a family, a mom and this is my thinking, with a mom and a dad, right, and the kids, 2 3 kids, whatever, each person has their place in the household, and each person has their job to do in the household, and each person has the responsibility to take care of their jobs. And so when each person is working and doing their job, then again, the function of the household is great. It is awesome. It is positive. It is positive. It shows teamwork. It shows that, okay, yes, I can do this. I am a team player. We're not doing this by ourselves. I'm not doing this by myself. My mom is not doing this by herself. My dad is not. Everybody doing and playing their part. Like each part of your body you need to function, to walk, to talk, to think, to eat, to sleep, to dance, whatever. Each muscle, each nerve, each brain wave, each neuron, whatever needs to happen and work in order so you can be a person, a human being, living, talking, breathing. So, the things that we went over, hey, think about it. Let me know what you think, how you feel about it. And yeah, comment, like, subscribe, and share to somebody who might want to listen to this. Anyways, have a have a beautiful evening, guys. Aloha. 2023 is coming.